Hello, this is Ashes. This is going to be a podfic of Hazy Owo's In Another World on AO3. Rating is teen and up audiences. Archive warnings are major character death. It's F/M and M/M. Sonic the Hedgehog, Shadow the Hedgehog / Sonic the Hedgehog, Blaze the Cat / Silver the Hedgehog. Violence, injury, and what is it? This will be posted on YouTube and also on AO3 as a podfic, so whichever one you're on, feel free to check out the other version of it. Without further ado, I will read the summary and then we'll get into it. All was well with Sonic and friends, but on one fateful sunny day, Dr. Eggman decided that he had enough of Sonic and friends meddling with his plans. Sonic, Shadow, Tails, Silver, and Blaze were fighting with the mad scientist. Tails had been knocked unconscious, sending Sonic into a blinding rage. But what he didn't know was that Tails had a bomb stuck to his sleeping body. And as it detonated, it blew these guys into a whole new world. Literally. With no idea where he is or where to go, Sonic finds himself in this weird new world where he's royalty and has siblings. On Sonic's quest to find out where he is, he will meet up with Shadow, Tails, Blaze, and Silver, as they all remember what happened, and they have to search for a way back home. But will they be able to? Sonic and Shadow begin to get closer as they share many near-death experiences. Will these feelings blossom into something? Yay! Chapter 1. Sunny. It was a sunny day in Green Hill. The birds were singing and all was peaceful until a loud boom was heard as some trees got knocked over in the distance. Sonic and his friends, Tails, Shadow, Silver, and Blaze, were fighting Eggman again. This was a normal sight for the residents of Green Hill. The fight was the usual, Eggman's horrible world domination plan failing time and time again, but a strange mood persisted as the battle went on. 10 minutes, 20, 30. The battle wasn't particularly special. This feels off, Sonic thinks. Tails, can you do an analysis of the bots we're fighting? I don't feel good about any of this. Tails? No reply. Sonic continues on fighting. The bots don't stop attacking, but Tails' silence is unusual. It's only adding to his dismay. After destroying a few more Robotniks, Sonic decides to get some insight with Silver. He can float over and possibly find Tails, wherever he is, and get this fight situated. Just as he turns to rush to Silver across the field, Sonic notices something. No, not a thing. A body. Not just anybody. Tails? Sonic rushes towards him, dodging bots as they fly towards him. Everyone else is still pursued in their own fights. It's up to Sonic to get Tails to safety. Tails, buddy, are you okay? Talk to me. His voice wobbled with emotion, blocking his throat as tears threatened to spill. Oh, Tails looked bad, like really, really bad, and he wasn't breathing. Tails, this isn't funny. Wake up. Someone's shouting, Sonic registers. His vision is clouding, and Tails' blood soaks into his hands, permanently staining them with his brother's blood. The shouting is louder, and he is surprised to realize it. Him. He can't focus. He dully acknowledges Shadow and Silver running and kneeling. They're talking to him, but he can't hear them. Blaze must be fighting off the rest of Eggman's pathetic fleet. Sonic can't hear anything, see anything. His quills prickle up, threatening anyone who tries to take Tails away from him. Because Tails is not dead. Through his haze, a loud beeping fills his ears. He finally comes back to himself, only to see Silver shouting. Shadow loudly explaining something to Sonic. But no words process. Shadow keeps pointing to Tails, becoming more frantic before pulling Sonic off his brother. Everything inside of Sonic fights against the black hedgehog, scraping, biting, screaming to get back to Tails. The beeping grows from Tails' body, a red light glowing. Everyone's running, and his bleeding brother's body is the last thing Sonic sees before everything goes black. Off. Everything felt off. Nothing was right. It was like the very air Sonic breathed was wrong. The memories of the battle rushed to Sonic's mind. The disorder, downright chaos, and the blackness he felt before the explosion. From Tails' body. No, Tails was fine. Everything was fine, and he just had to open his eyes and Tails would be right next to him, laying down. The room around him was nothing like Green Hills, nothing like this luxurious. Now that Sonic noticed it, he was in a grand bed. The duvet was a rich crimson red, just like Tails'. No, Sonic, stop. The room around him was far too ornate and large, with walls decorated with gold lining and silver inlays. Massive marble pillars, seemingly holding up the ceiling, surrounded the room. Sonic tried to get his bearings. Sonic? He looked at the door, a massive spectacle in itself, carved with intricate, complicated signs, and wonders how this stranger even knows his name, or where he is. Did they find him after the battle? How far did the explosion throw him? All the way out of Green Hills? No, not possible. He lifts his head off the fluffy, feather-filled pillow. Sonic, get up this instant. The person sounded annoyed, though he couldn't decipher why. Fast footsteps paced outside the room. With a quiet groan, Sonic forced his body up off the strange bed. He finally realized he didn't feel any pain. Physically, that is. He wasn't even a bit sore, and he was in his pajamas. Strange. This was all very strange. He might as well thank this person who took care of him and get back to Green Hills. Sonic walked towards the door slowly. The person outside was still pacing. As he turned the handle, he was greeted by a pinkish-purple hedgehog, who looked remarkably like himself. He blinked, a little confused, looking this mysterious figure up and down before clearing his throat. Hello. I'm assuming you took care of me and got me out of that battle, correct? I appreciate it, but I gotta get back to Green Hills. Could you tell me where I am? The hedgehog looked at him strangely, like he just grew two heads. They scowled, letting out a low growl as they said, "What are you talking about? Did you really just wake up?" Who am I? Who am I? I'm your sister, you dumbass. Now get ready and meet me in the main hall. You're making a horrible impression with the Duke, who we have to meet, been having to meet, and been told about this meeting for the past month. She fumed as she made wild gestures with her hands. Now Sonic is not the one to judge, but she was obviously well insane. He really needed to leave and find Tails. Okay, sure, I'll totally meet the Duke, but where am I? She just opened her mouth and screamed, "Sonic, I am not doing this today," as she slammed the door in his face. Sonic was startled, utterly befuddled. Okay, so I'll get this over with and leave. They did nurse my wounds. That isn't there. How long was I out? Sonic walked over to a massive wardrobe and opened it, just to be bombarded with the most extravagant items of clothing he'd ever seen. He stared in dismay. Whose clothes were these? But the other hedgehog would certainly murder him if he didn't wear one of these strangely regal outfits, so he chose the simplest outfit he could find, a major understatement. 16 gold buttons ran down the chest, 8 on each side, golden shoulder pads with a velvet sash running diagonally from his shoulder to his hip. Hell, even the pants were gaudy. The white trousers were embroidered with intricate designs. He looked himself in the mirror that sat next to the wardrobe. Who owned this? And why was Sonic, a stranger, even allowed to wear these expensive clothes? Something to ponder later. He needed to head down to the main hall, wherever that was, and try to find someone who could actually help him. Sonic left the room, eyes widening as he stared into the hallway. It was like a palace, the corridors of a maze. Big, complex murals lined the walls. Sonic moved through the hallway, mouth gaping as he tried to orient himself in this strange place. He wondered, going up and down a few corridors, the plush carpet cushioning his footfalls. Where was he supposed to go again? The main hall? He circled around and realized he'd been completely lost. Well, more than before. Just as Sonic made another circle, a person walked up to him, their outfit suggesting they were a servant. With their eyes low, they bowed and started speaking. "Sire, aren't you meant to be in the main hall meeting with the Duke?" the servant asked, still not meeting Sonic's gaze. He noted how they bowed at him, possibly a strange custom wherever he was. Well, yes. I'm pretty sure I'm lost. I have no idea where the main hall is. The pink hedgehog never gave me any directions." The servant just stared at him. "My lord, why are you speaking like that? This is no time for goofing off. I'll walk you." The servant looked annoyed as they walked down the hall, keeping their eyes on Sonic, another crazy one. Sonic went along with it, trying to be kind, but he really needed to get back to Tails. After a few minutes, they both approached a large wooden door. It towered over both of them. "Here we are, sire, the main hall," the servant said impatiently. Sonic took a deep breath, putting his hand on the handle. He heard muffled noises coming from the inside. Sonia, your job was to get him over here. No wonder he's late, the male voice said. Well, it wasn't my fault. He wasn't even dressed when I got there. The girl who spoke was familiar. The one that was outside the room he woke up in. She must be Sonia. After a deep breath and pressure from the servant's hard glare, he turned the handle and walked into the room. He immediately lost his breath, stunned by the magnificence of the room before him. His eyes cut into the table in the center, noticing the pinkish-purple hedgehog, Sonia, standing there, glaring. The other male voice must have been the green hedgehog next to her. Sonic finally looked at the last person, his eyes wide. After every weird thing that happened within the past couple hours, the battle, Tails' sister, my lord, he almost didn't believe the black hedgehog's presence. Shadow? Shadow's eyes widened, as if to tell Sonic, yeah, I know, they are batshit insane.